So I'm super excited that you guys joined me tonight. I know it's not easy to take time out, especially in the evening. All right. So tonight we are going to just talk a little bit about how prenatal yoga can help you have a better pregnancy, birth, and even postpartum experience. So it sounds pretty wild, but prenatal yoga can reduce the fear of birth and it can increase your confidence in your pregnancy, your birth, and your motherhood journey. And it can help you have a calmer, less painful pregnancy and birth. I think that's something we all can say that we want, right? So I am doing this because we're launching Unfold Motherhood again. So at the end, I'm going to do a doula Q&A, so you can ask me any questions that you have about pregnancy, birth, or postpartum. And then for those of you who do end up joining Unfold Motherhood that are not already a part of it, there are some cool bonuses. So you get access to both of my workshops and a 20-minute consultation with me. So today we're going to talk about the benefits of prenatal yoga and why anyone can do it. We'll talk a little bit about the difference between prenatal yoga and regular yoga. And then I will share 3 tips to have a better pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. I'll talk about a handful of poses that you're going to want to do daily to just reduce tension, to also help prepare your body for birth, and to help your baby get into a position for birth. So when birth comes, it's a little easier, it's a little shorter, and it's a little less painful. So, a little bit about me for those of you that don't know me already. I am a movement teacher. I teach prenatal yoga, regular yoga, and I am a postpartum fitness specialist. I'm also a birth doula and a childbirth educator, and I've been doing this work for the last 10 years, which is crazy to think. So, a couple of things about me. I created Unfold Yoga in 2012. I've studied the pelvic floor with Leslie Howard. The pelvic floor is one of my favorite topics. And over the last 10 years, I have been lucky enough to lead thousands of women through their pregnancy, and I've attended 147 births. As far as my birth experiences go, I have 2 little ones. They are 10 and 5, and I had 2 very different birth experiences. So I had a birth experience where I basically knew nothing, and it was very medical and it was a little bit traumatic. And then I had a home birth for my second. So having those 2 experiences to pull from has been really interesting for me. So, a little bit about why I do what I do. Because after my first birth experience, I learned that that experience was so common. I learned that the way that I felt was very common and that it didn't need to be that way. So, I do what I do so other women don't have that experience and that they can have a more empowered pregnancy, birth, and postpartum journey. So, like I said, prenatal yoga can help you have an easier pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And it doesn't have to be an hour a day. Little bits here and there are going to be more beneficial than practicing once a week. So don't overwhelm yourself with it. It's pretty much my rule of thumb with prenatal yoga and anything else, especially when it comes to pregnancy and postpartum. So, why is prenatal yoga so great? And why can anyone do prenatal yoga? Because it's gentle enough that you can start at any time in your pregnancy, even if you've never practiced yoga, even if you haven't really been active during your pregnancy. It's also really easy to modify. So if you have anything going on physically, we can adjust the practice so it works for you. I've had moms practice in a chair before, and it's awesome that we can adjust the practice so they can still practice even though they're having some physical issues. Personally, my classes are designed for people who are new to yoga. Over the years, I found that it wasn't the hardcore yogis that were coming to my classes. It was moms who heard prenatal yoga was good for them, found a class, showed up not knowing what to expect. So I teach to that. So I teach so no matter what, you're going to feel okay in that class. So, the benefits of prenatal yoga, it's going to build your stamina for birth. Birth is a marathon, so we do have to strengthen our body. You're going to have less aches and pains during your pregnancy. So, when you walk into a prenatal class or when you roll out your mat at home, you might be feeling a little achy. After a few minutes of movement, you will notice a difference. Healthier pelvic floor, we're going to create balance, we're going to create strength, and we're not going to do it with Kegels. Obviously, yoga helps manage stress, which is really important during pregnancy. It is shown that women who have a lot of anxiety tend to have their babies a little bit earlier. So, preterm babies can happen when there's a lot of stress, and stress just isn't good on the body. It's not good for mom, it's not good for baby. So, we definitely want to manage that during pregnancy and forever. It's going to decrease tension and it's going to help your baby get into position for birth. We move in a way to balance the body. And if the body is balanced, it gives your baby the opportunity to get into the best position. So when you do go into labor, they're already where they need to be. And it's easier for them to rotate through the birth canal. It's going to increase strength and flexibility. Again, we need that for birth. It will also help us heal faster postpartum. And then you're going to learn relaxation techniques to use throughout your pregnancy. These are going to be tools that you can use during your birth, no matter what your birth looks like, and that you can use forever. So it's pretty awesome. How does that relate to birth? It gets you physically ready. It gives you the tools to mentally cope with the challenges that are ahead of you, the unpredictability of birth and motherhood. It makes birth less painful, which kind of sounds like magic. But if you've learned these skills in your practice, you can be more relaxed. And when you're more relaxed, your sensation of pain actually decreases. So there's the fear, tension, pain cycle. If you are feeling afraid or anxious or whatever it is, it creates tension in your body. If your body is tense, the sensation of discomfort or pain is going to be higher than if you're relaxed and you're breathing and you're using your techniques. Your sensation of pain is going to physically decrease. So it is kind of like magic. It's going to help balance the body. So, like I said, it's going to help get your baby into position for birth. If your body is tense and unbalanced, it's going to be harder for your baby to get into a good position. So, like for me, my first baby was OP. So, we were spine to spine. Baby was looking towards my belly button, and I had a very long labor and a very long pushing phase. So, it was really hard for her to maneuver through the birth canal because of the position that she started with and because my pelvic floor was super tight. So, prenatal yoga will help with that. Pelvic floor is stronger and more balanced. So that's all tied together. And then the education that we litter into these classes helps you feel more confident and prepared for what is ahead. So I want to share two stories because I know a lot of people can relate to them. So this is Felicia. She said, I started at the beginning of my third trimester, which shows that you can start at any time. And the yoga helped so much in managing the new aches and pains and tensions of pregnancy. The focus on the breathing was a tremendous help during labor, and I would swear that the pelvic floor exercises made birth and postpartum healing easier. Absolutely. The breathing that we do in yoga is going to be the breathing that you do in birth. And this is Jane. Jane actually just had her second baby. So she attended my prenatal yoga classes with her first and second. And it's something I look forward to and make a priority. I do not practice yoga normally. Again, a lot of people just come to yoga because they're pregnant. But during my pregnancies, I do. It's been so nice for so many reasons, such as moving and stretching in ways that are comfortable and needed for my ever changing pregnant body and learning how to move properly so I don't get myself hurt. When you are pregnant, it's very easy to injure yourself. It's hard to engage your core when you're picking something up. So I have a lot of moms who are really like, oh, I picked something up and I tweaked my back. So we do strengthen the core and talk about how to pick things up. And those simple things that we kind of overlook are a part of the practice. So, what I want to talk about now is just a handful of poses to do daily. And you don't have to do them all together. You can kind of break them up, or you can do the ones that feel best for you in that point of time. So I'm going to talk about them really quickly, and then we're going to actually physically practice them. So you want to practice your deep breathing daily. It's going to help create space, reduce tension. It's going to work your pelvic floor, all of those things that we need during pregnancy. So finding a way to incorporate deep, slow, steady breathing into your day. Side stretches. So this is just going to help create space. So we need space as baby grows. We literally run out of room. This is going to help you breathe a little deeper, and then it's also going to reduce tension in the back and the hips. So you can do these seated, you can do these standing. Bound angle is great throughout your pregnancy. The only time I wouldn't recommend this is if you have a lot of pubic pain. But this pose is really integral at preparing your body to push. So it's going to open up those hips and it's going to stretch the inside of the thighs, and it also releases tension in the back. We get a lot of that during pregnancy. I'm sure I don't have to tell you that. Child's pose, this is my favorite. Just take the knees wide so you have space for baby, and you just send your hips back as far as you can. And coming into child's pose and just practicing deep breathing is a great way to de-stress and also prepare for birth. It's going to stretch the back of the body, it's going to induce relaxation, and it opens the pelvis and helps position your baby. So remember I said my baby was OP. This position encourages your baby to look at your spine, where their spine is to your belly button, and that is where we want them. This especially feels good as your baby gets bigger because it takes the weight of your baby off the back of your body. So pelvic tilts, whether you've done yoga or not before, you've probably seen this, but just moving the spine, it reduces tension throughout the body. It helps position baby, really good at getting baby to slide into an ideal position and getting the weight off the back of the body. It's also core work when you do it with your breath. So you want to practice these daily. These are great first thing in the morning and right before bed. And then, of course, it's not prenatal yoga or birth prep if we don't do squats. So, squatting in a different variety of ways to strengthen the pelvic floor, to balance the pelvis. When we squat, it opens the pelvis 30%. So, lots of space for baby. Just a note about that is if you are past 30 weeks and your baby maybe isn't in the best position for birth, you don't want to do squats because we're opening the inlet of the pelvis, and it's going to encourage them to move into the pelvis. But if they're not in a great position, we want to get them out of the pelvis. So kind of a child's pose with your hips up higher is going to be a more ideal position for you at that time. Otherwise, if that's not you, get your squat on. Squat all the time. Different varieties. Don't always do a deep squat. You want to add in variety always. So those are the poses that you want to practice daily, or every couple days, or pull a couple that feel good for you. Do it in the morning, do it at night, do it whenever works for you. So I'm going to just guide you through a little flow that connects all of those poses together, and then I will share my 3 tips to have a better pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, and then we will move into our Q&A. Go ahead and find a seat. And I encourage you to sit up on something, a blanket, a pillow, whatever you have handy. And you can cross your legs or bring the soles of the feet together, whatever's going to feel comfortable for you. Just find some length through your spine. Maybe close your eyes or soften your gaze. And you can leave your hands where they are, or you can take one hand to your heart and one hand to your baby. And we're just going to start to breathe a little deeper, a little slower. And as you inhale, imagine that you're creating space. And as you exhale, soften, release, let go of any tension, any holding. And if it feels okay for you today, try inhaling to a count of 3 or 4 and exhaling to a count of 6 or 7. And you don't have to be a stickler for the count, but just let your exhalation be longer than your inhalation. When we lengthen the exhale, it tells our body to relax. It releases the hormones that calm us. When we are in that place, our body functions most optimally. This is the place where we want to spend more of our time. So this breath is a great tool to get you there. We'll just take a big breath, reach the arms up towards the sky, and exhale, side out, hands to the heart. Releasing your hands to your knees. We're just doing a couple circles here. So rounding the spine forward and back. Just starting to feel into your body. You want to try to keep your focus inward. You can always close your eyes once you feel more comfortable with the practice. We'll take it in the opposite direction. And really stay connected to your breath. So we want nice, slow, deep breaths. Just keeping that connection. Finding your way back to center. Take your hands off to the side. We're going to press the left hand or fingertips into the mat and reach up towards the sky. So if you have round ligament pain or growing pains, you're just going to reach up towards the sky. If it feels okay, you can take more of a side bend. And then we're just going to move side to side. So opening up the side body. Keeping the shoulder away from the ears and moving with your breath. It's about coming in, feeling into your body, noticing your baby. Then we'll take one more side stretch on each side. And find your way back to center. So always taking your time, there's no rush. We'll bring the soles of the feet together. You can have them far away from you. You can have them close to you, whatever feels good. And then you're just gonna grab wherever you can. So wherever's gonna feel comfortable for you. You wanna make sure that you're sitting up on your sits bone and you're not rounding into your tailbone. So you want to find that length. And then when you're here, there's options. So it depends on how tight your legs are feeling. Maybe you just wanna kind of sit up and rock or gently bounce the legs. Sometimes it can feel nice to take some movement through the pelvis. And then for some people, it feels nice to lean into the stretch. Just very gently, maybe opening up the feet or energetically pressing the knees towards the mat. You can be still. You can add in that rocking here. I encourage you to explore. Breathe into it, remembering that the inhalation is creating space. And the exhalation is releasing tension. And every time you do these moves, they're always going to feel a little different. Pregnancy is dynamic and ever-changing. So always just honoring wherever you are I think that's important for motherhood in general. And then you're going to slowly just stack the spine. Roll your shoulders up towards your ears and let them slide down the back. From here, we're going to transition into tabletop, so take your time. So in your tabletop, you want to take your knees nice and wide, so you have plenty of space for a baby. And then you're going to send your hips back. So you're going to stop wherever your body needs to. Maybe your hips come all the way down. Maybe you need to stay more lifted and come onto your forearms. You take the version of this pose that works for you. So we're just going to breathe here. And I really like to focus on the pelvic floor in these positions. So we're just going to relax the base of the pelvis and take some nice deep breaths. Feel that release in the back as the weight of the baby shifts forward. You can even imagine your baby head down, spine is towards your belly button, and they're just being cradled in the hammock of your belly. We're going to take a nice cleansing breath. And then slowly float up into table. So the fingers are spread. We're pressing into the entire hand. The wrist can be under the shoulders or slightly forward, whatever feels best. And it's important to note that the knees are hip distance apart or further away. You want to have space. Shoulders back, and we're just going to move into those pelvic tilts. So inhale, peel your heart forward. Try not to drop the belly too much because it's going to crunch your low back. Kind of focus more on lengthening the spine than anything. So we inhale, we peel the heart forward, we create length. And as you exhale, you hug your baby in, chin to chest, round the spine. Inhale, come forward, exhale. And just find your flow. So like I said, doing these first thing in the morning, right before bed, just to reduce some tension can be really helpful. And then we're going to find our way back to center. From here, we'll take a squat at the back of the mat. So you can take a full squat, you can take a half squat, or if that doesn't feel good, you can just come to stand and take maybe a wide forward fold. So plenty of space for baby. You want to make sure that we're untucking the tailbone. Your heels may be up, they may be down. Everyone's going to be different. But we want to avoid the tailbone pointing towards the floor. That's going to round the spine. We want to untuck and find length. Maybe you're in a deeper squat. Maybe you need to come up into a half squat. Both are going to be beneficial. Just want you to take some breaths. Relax your jaw. Wherever you are. So if you're in your full squat, hands press into the floor and then into the thighs. You come up really slow. If you're in the half squat, push your hands into your thighs. Come up really slow. So you take your time. Press up. Shake it all up. So we're going to do one more squat variation. There are so many variations. This is one of my favorites. I do it all the time because it's really great for the pelvic floor. So we're going to take the feet wide, point the toes forward, and we're going to come into wave squats. So for wave squats, we're not focusing on a deep squat. We're focusing on sending the hips back. So we still move down, but we're really shifting the pelvis back, and that opens the pelvis. So you're in your wide stance. You can do whatever you want with your arms. We're going to reach the arms up or leave them down by your side. Shoulders relax if the arms are lifted. You're going to inhale here. As you exhale, you're going to pause. I messed up my breathing cue, sorry about that. We're going to inhale to sink back and down. And then you exhale, come up. Inhale, hips back and down. And exhale up. And again, you can leave your hands where they are, at your heart maybe. Inhale down. Exhale up. As you come up, squeeze your glutes, use your hamstrings. Couple more. These are nice to do just in the middle of your day. You've been sitting for a while, it can feel really nice. Let's do one more. And release. We're going to bring the feet in. Take your hands to your hips or maybe hands to baby. You're just going to draw some circles and some figure eights. Take them in the opposite direction. And then bring it back. So we're going to close out the movement portion with a little bit of breathing. If you want to stay standing, you can. If you want to come back to seated, you can. I just want you to check in. Notice how you feel. Let your breath move freely in and out. That little bit of movement, that little time that you took to kind of tune out from everything else, just feel the impact that that has. And just remind yourself that little bits here and there are going to be the most beneficial. Take a moment, check in with your baby. And then on your next inhale, sweep your arms up towards the sky or take a big stretch depending on where you are. And exhale, hands to the heart, side out. Good job, mamas. So I just want you to notice how you feel. And it serves as a reminder, I think, of how important tuning out of everything can be and just tuning in, and what an impact that can have on you. So if just a few minutes of that has such an impact, imagine what a continual practice will do for you and how it can prepare you for your birthing time and for everything postpartum has to offer. So that is the movement practice that I invite you to do daily. I am going to send you all a copy of it, so you can kind of watch along until you get used to it, or you can take pieces that work for you. I am going to hop back into slides for just a moment. Super nice flow. Even I'm feeling a little relaxed. Maybe not the best thing when I'm trying to think too. All right. So these seem really simple, but these, I think, after all of my years doing this, are the 3 tips that you need to know and that you need to do for your best birth, your best pregnancy, and your best postpartum. That's something we often overlook. So move your body. Whether you do prenatal yoga or not, do something. Walk. Keep moving your body. We need to increase that strength. We need to increase that stamina not only for birth, but also for postpartum when we are fatigued and our body is healing from our birth. So continue to move until the day you have your baby. There is no, oh, I'm going to have my baby, so I'm just going to relax for the next 2 weeks. I want you to relax, but I still want you to move your body. We are preparing for a marathon, whether it's your birth or it's your postpartum. And education is number two. So it's super, super important to educate yourself. It is easy to say, like, this stresses me out. I'm not really going to take a class. I'm just going to figure it out when I get there. That is the worst idea. I don't want you to be stressed out by everything that you need to do and learn, but I do want you to educate yourself, because a lot of times you're going to find that that's going to decrease the stress that you're feeling. When you don't know what's happening or why it's happening, that's going to increase your anxiety because you don't know what's normal and what's not. And then you don't know what your options are when things happen. So, education is so, so important. And then number three is learning relaxation skills. So, I don't love to use the word meditation because I feel like it intimidates a lot of people. So, learning relaxation skills to help reduce stress and to manage how you are feeling is really, really important. And if we do not practice these things, we're not going to use them. So, whatever you don't practice, you're definitely not going to use when you need it. The things that you practice, you can utilize those skills. They are part of your skill set, but you have to practice them. A few minutes here and there, that's okay. I don't expect you to sit in meditation for an hour a day. 3 minutes here, 3 minutes there. Next time you're at a stoplight, practice that relaxation breath. Those are the type of things that are going to ultimately benefit you. So just take these with you, move your body, educate yourself about pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, and then learn and practice your relaxation skills. So those are my 3 tips to have a better pregnancy, birth, and postpartum. And it works, I promise. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Unfold Motherhood for those of you that are interested in it. I know some of you that are already members, so you can kind of just tune out, and then I'll do Q&A in just a couple slides. So for those of you that don't know what it is, it's an online course, so it's separate from what I do in the studio, but you can also bundle those things. It's interactive, it's bite-sized education, shorter prenatal yoga classes. So the classes are about 30 minutes. And it has a lot of stuff that is not talked about in a typical childbirth class. I talk about lots about the pelvic floor, baby positioning, birth plans, preparing for postpartum, how to pick things up, things that are not usually covered in a childbirth class. There is some overlap, but most of it will be new to you. And then the coolest thing about the program is you get pregnancy coaching for me. So when I have a doula client, that's what I do, right? I'm their go to person. They call me when they need. We do prenatals before they have their baby. Essentially, every month, I do a coaching call, like a prenatal visit, with all my mamas that are in the program, and I answer all of their questions. If they can't attend live, they email me the questions and I answer them all. Then I put the recording in the program so you can go back and see how I answered your question or listen to other people's questions, because I find most of the time there's a lot of overlap, right? Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So it's a really, really great way to just get support and education about all things pregnancy, all things birth, and all things postpartum. So I kind of already went over that. And the cart will be open until July 5th. So it opens today, closes on the 5th. I don't know when it will reopen. Still new to me. I don't want to get too many moms in because of that coaching component. I want to keep it pretty intimate. For those of you that do sign up this round, you get access to my Empowered Postpartum workshop and my relaxation techniques for pregnancy, birth, and beyond. And you get a coaching call with me. So just a one-on-one call. So the investment, lots of options. Depends on where you are in your pregnancy, what makes the most sense for you. and you have until the 5th of July to register. So that is that.